Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out here for you. I have an article we're going to be going over and we're going to be talking about Ukraine and this aid package that got passed yesterday in the House of Representatives. So we know 61 billion in aid is going to be going to Ukraine very soon once it gets fully passed through the government of the United States. And we have a report here that the U.S. is considering sending up to 60 more military advisors to Ukraine. So they do have some on the ground that we know of right now, but they're going to be sending up to 60 more military advisors to Ukraine. So this is boots on the ground in Ukraine. They say they're not going to be serving in any kind of combat roles, but what they will be doing is providing support logistics and oversee U.S. weapons being sent to Ukraine. So they're going to be managing the logistics of these weapons coming in because there's going to be lots of missiles, all kinds of different weaponry, artillery heading to Ukraine very soon over the next few weeks. And supposedly they're going to be there for that and not for combat roles. But we know many times it always starts with military advisors before we start seeing boots on the ground. Okay, I've also reported back in February that French President Emmanuel Macron was not willing to rule out sending troops to Ukraine if Ukraine were to lose this fight. So now Ukraine's going to be receiving lots of weaponry, which will probably hold them out for the next 6 months to a year. We'll see how long it lasts, if it really does help. But we've had also Russia coming out, Vladimir Putin stating that it's not going to help the war. They can send all the money they want, but Russia's going to ultimately win this fight. Okay, so I have an article to go over here with you. Let's talk more about this from the Business Insider. It says U.S. considers deploying extra military advisors to Ukraine as Russia looks to set to ramp up offensives. So it looks like there's a major offensive coming from Russia here very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised that they'll launch one just because Ukraine's going to be getting weapons soon, and right now is the prime time to attack heavily while Ukraine is weak. So it says here the U.S. is considering sending additional military advisors to its Kiev embassy as Russia continues its offensive operations in Ukraine, Politico reported. Four unnamed U.S. officials and another unnamed person familiar with the matter told the publication that the additional troops would primarily support logistics and oversee the weapons being sent to Ukraine by the U.S. They would also assist the Ukrainian military with weapons maintenance. One of the officials and the person familiar with the plan said. There was no confirmation of how many additional U.S. troops would be sent to Ukraine, although two of the officials said it could be up to 60. So up to 60 personnel. These are U.S. troops could be on the ground in Ukraine on top of I don't know how many we have over there right now, a few dozen or something like that. We know that there's some on the ground in Ukraine helping them already. And also there's been leaked phone calls back in, I think it was March or February as well, of German military officers that were discussing that there was already troops on the ground in Ukraine, Western troops. I believe there's British troops, maybe even French troops on the ground in Ukraine already assisting the Ukrainians. And now this goes to show outright that the U.S. is willing to become more involved in this war in Ukraine by actually putting boots on the ground, okay? So in a statement to Business Insider, Major General Patrick Ryder, Pentagon press secretary, said, throughout this conflict, the DoD has reviewed and adjusted our presence in country as security conditions have evolved. Currently, we are considering sending several additional advisors to augment the Office of Defense Cooperation, which is the ODC, at the embassy. The ODC performs a variety of advisory and support missions, non-combat roles, and while it is staffed exclusively by DoD personnel, it is embedded within the U.S. Embassy. The statement continued, and adding that personnel are subject to the same travel restrictions as all embassy employees. So even though these are military personnel going there, they're kind of labeling them as U.S. Embassy personnel, but they're technically U.S. military personnel that are going there. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the West against sending troops to Ukraine. We've heard a lot of reports about that. I've talked about that many times. After French President Emmanuel Macron said in February that sending NATO ground forces to Ukraine cannot be ruled out, is what he said. Putin made his position clear, saying the consequences for possible interventions will be tragic. So once again, this is just pushing the conflict closer to something major happening, especially with the US outright saying we're going to be sending 60 military advisors to Ukraine, or potentially 60. It comes as the US House of Representatives on Saturday approved a bill to send more than $60 billion in additional aid to Ukraine. The think tank, this Institute for the Study of War, said in an update on the conflict that Russia would now likely intensify its attacks on Ukraine in order to make the most of abnormally dry spring ground conditions and persisting Ukrainian material shortages ahead of the new package. So yeah, two issues over here. The ground is starting to dry up already. It's no longer winter, and also Ukraine is short on weaponry right now. So we're definitely most likely going to see some sort of major offensive heading to Ukraine. I just saw some video footage the other day of dozens and dozens of tanks coming out of Russia heading to the front line. So yeah, there could definitely be a major attack coming from Russia here, and I'm sure they're planning something big very soon. The now expected arrival of U.S. security assistance has likely emphasized these considerations for Russian forces, the report said. The Russian military command will likely intensify offensive operations and missile and drone strikes to pursue operationally significant effects that will certainly become harder to achieve against well-provisioned Ukrainian forces. It added that Russia will likely target areas where Ukraine's defenses seem relatively unstable or where they are close to achieving an operationally significant objective, such as to the west of Avdiivka or near Chasiv Yar, both in the Donetsk region. So these regions have been under heavy attack lately near Avdiivka and also Chasiv Yar. I heard a report recently that Chasiv Yar is very close to being attacked by Russia. I know the Russians are advancing very close. That's one of their key objectives, is this city right here, the city of Chasiv Yar. And I just put out a report this morning as well that Russia is planning to go after Kharkiv. Okay, so lots of big objectives from the Russians here coming very soon. And we're going to expect this war to really ramp up, especially when Ukraine starts getting lots of weaponry. This is a huge military package, okay? $60 billion is going to get them lots and lots of aid. And this will definitely probably hold them out at least 6 months to a year is what I'm just projecting, maybe even longer. But most likely at least till the end of the year coming for the elections in the United States. So, yeah, it's going to get very intense over here in Ukraine. This war is going to continue, and this is starting to look like a forever war until the point where we could definitely see NATO and Russia engaging with each other at some point, considering that the U.S. along with its allies in the West are starting to get more and more involved in Ukraine with actual boots on the ground. And that's why I wanted to primarily report this to you, is that this just goes to show the commitment of the West, of U.S. and their allies, the Western countries in Europe, considerably getting more involved in this war in Ukraine with actual boots on the ground. So let me know what you think down below. This is some pretty big news. Share your thoughts and concerns down in the comment section. That's going to be it for this update, though. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below and hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.